This is Medley Prime, and today I will be reviewing also Volume 2 of the Joshua Williamson G.I. Joe run. And to be fair, I will say he is doing a lot of Superman and DC stuff, and he's also doing an Iron Man relaunch besides this. So this one could be a little bit as dense as the other one, with Hound recounting his origin. And you have Starscream there. And Clutch. This, of course, is the Free Comic Book Day as the opening. And Hound and Clutch are at each other's throats until they decide to go visit Matt Tracker, who in the IDW comics, like here, got swapped. But in the 80s cartoon, he's a blonde dude. I don't know much about Mask, which Kirkman is slowly introducing here, because he had the Miles Mayhem dude in his Transformers volume, or Transformers number 25, where he could potentially be building to Nemesis Prime. But yeah, pretty much they're talking, and then Ravage pops up, cut off from both Megatron and Soundwave. And so they throw grenades like Bruno Mars and try to get rid of him. And then we transition to Cobra Dude. And it's Buzzer, who's one of the Dreadnoks. And basically this teases up the promotion of the Dreadnok War, which for anybody interested is basically Cobra Commander and Duke taking on the entirety of the Dreadnoks, and Warpig brutalizes both of them, and it's still going on, to be fair. So there you go. We switch to General, I think, Hawk. Oh no, Colonel Hawk, never mind. Colonel Hawk talking to Cover Girl. And Night Force, which turns out is Beachhead going after some thugs, and a dude in a suit, and Hugh Hefner. Yeah, Hugh Hefner style suit, and then getting ambushed. And then Major Blood, who is presented way later as a poet. And the other two parts of Night Force thus far, because we're getting Shooter way later here, are Flint and Lady J. And so one of the things that they kind of develop in the cartoon is they have a daughter who was played around with a little bit in IDW, bonding with Thundercracker, who wrote screenplays. And so I'm wondering if, given season 3 of G1, if she's going to be introduced in this or Void Rivals. And while Flint and Beachhead are talking about things, Beachhead is making fun of Duke and his hatred of Starscream, because Starscream red-rummed one of his unit mates. Then we have Risk and Cover Girl in a training exercise at the pit. They get jumped by the Baroness, who's a member of the Joes this time instead of being Destro's love interest, because Destro has another lady from the Girl Who Loved Power Glide episode as a trade-off. Duke comes in and he squares everybody up, and then he pretty much has Stalker next to him, who's just standing there, I guess. And yeah, he's been sizing them up because he's afraid of what's happening next. Then we briefly switch over back to Cobra Commander, and he's talking about Devastator, because Cobra Commander has a history with Megatron, and one of the other things that they could possibly do, like the Prime cartoon, is have mech, but like Cobra mechs instead of Clancy Brown's character Silas creating a copy of Prime with Nemesis. They could probably have it to where Cobra has their own kind of drones instead, maybe in the same spirit but not quite the same way. Hound and Clutch are trying to hide from Duke. Baroness and Cover Girl go on a Hallmark style trip. While they're on their Hallmark style trip of the two sisters bonding and looking for a dude, they meet a bird. And it turns out to be Raptor as a messenger. And he's not quite the Vulture, but he is one of the dudes that is a little more obscure, which is part of the reason why I think he's here. And he's pretty much saying, you know, Major Blood wants to see you, talking to Baroness. And then Major Blood pops up, and he's not big on the cops. And then he has Raptor take them away. And then we switch back to Hound and Clutch, pretty much talking about how in the Ark crash, Hound was one of the people that Wheeljack later talks about in the Kirkman issues, how a lot of the Autobots fell out of the Ark that aren't accounted for, like your Ironhide, your Sunstreaker, and your Prowl, who haven't shown up yet. But I'm wondering if, like, the Terminator crossover, if Windblade is among them, because she was in the Ark in that one before the Terminator decided that he only liked Prime and Bumblebee to hang out with. Hound, though, is a little short on Energon, which is why Clutch decides, let's go get you some. This is back to the Hallmark days, and they wake up in a pit. Like an underground pit, not like the G.I. Joe pit. And Major Blood is itching for them to fight. And it turns out it's a bit of a savage game that blood is big on. Yeah, and then Destra's on a date, which is a tad bit on the Hallmark side, even more. Yeah, then we throw a bit of tying back to the aforementioned poetry. He's a poet, and I suspect this is probably where, when they were making the Transformers RID 2001, they got the idea for Skybite, which then carried over to the IDW 2005 later comics, where Skybite's reciting poetry. And for anyone who's interested, he's in the Cyberworld cartoon. He's a big giant shark. During the Energon run, Clutch and Hound run into Risk. Risk thinks that he's a spy, and then they get ambushed by a dude named Mercer. Then in turn, Mercer is completely and totally unaware that Hound is standing right behind him. And then they all spin around and try to shoot him. And then Hound discovers that the Energon that he needs is powered as the basis for the rifles that are being shot at him. Then more and more Baroness versus Blood. Hang on. And we got a Kill Bill 2 moment, because she stabs him in the other eye. And so it's kind of like when Uma Thurman stabs the other blonde lady that she's not terribly fond of. More Cobra Commander and Destro. Exposition. Yeah, and then Duke greets CoverGirl and Baroness after the Hallmark. Then we have the Night Force tease with Shooter, who in the 80s comic was named after Jim Shooter. And then in, I think, the Devil's Due version, they kind of changed it around to where he is more like the lady you see here. So they go to a big giant epic castle in the tradition of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And Shooter ain't big on flies on the wall, which is why I feel bad for Waspinator. And even Bombshell with the Insecticons. they get pretty brutal in the women's prison. His lockpick. Beachhead pops up, and it's time for her to go. And there's a big great escape. And he gives her a very spacious green bag, which is funny because when I went from from MEPS to 119 to 254 and had to give everything back, I found out that those kind of green bags that she has there are very spacious because you can fold up your t-shirts, you can throw in your hygiene pack, which is the little yellow bag that they gave everybody, and then you can also bring in all of your other stuff that they had, like your Ranger notebook, which I ended up giving it to my other brother. Yeah, it's a very spacious thing. And she's a sniper, which is funny because I was explaining to a dude yesterday that that Ryan Drake guy tries so hard to have a shot with snipers, and I had a drill sergeant, Grupp was his name. He trained as a sniper, but the difference between him and that Ryan Drake guy is that he wasn't really big on bragging about being a sniper. He was just, that's what he did. And it's open-ended for waiting to see where they go next. And then we have Cobra Commander and Destro. And they bring back Major Blood, and they give him some crazy robot prosthetic shades. And he has a bunch of dog tags, which I guess are like when in the Sympathizer they talk about. And I had a class at FSU where the teacher was talking about they collected ears as trophies. And so Major Blood here, he collects dog tags as trophies. And then Mercer's back. And more Dreadnought War teas. But from the ones that I've read with Warpig, there has not been Zartan. Though I still believe that it is possible that given the Destro issues where he's hanging out with him, that General Flag could possibly be Zartan, which would be kind of cool. But I don't know if Williamson or Kirkman is going to do that kind of thing. That's pretty much it.